What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 577th episode of the Pokemon Podcast. It's super effective. This is weird because I feel like I have to whisper talk because I'm in a hotel, but I'm sure it's fine. I'm your host, Steve. I'm in Japan. With me is Hannah.
I am not in Japan. I'm still here. I haven't been playing any of the fun events this week. I'm not in Japan. I'm not in London. But I'm here.
Yeah. Bobby's in a different place, but also here.
Yep, I am also not in Japan, but I'm also not in my house. So this is early. Early for some people. It's 8 a.m. and I needed to move locations because my kids would be potentially like running through the back of my typical situation. So just popped over to the in-laws' house to record there.
All right. Well, we'll try to keep this show to an hour. I'm very tired. Not because it's midnight. It's midnight here. You would think like this is my normal time. I'm usually busting out work, but I have played Pokemon Go in the hottest weather I have ever played Pokemon Go. But we'll talk about the later half. Let's do today's show is really simple. We're going to do a Pokemon Sleep check-in, and then there's going to be a trailer for something, and then we're going to talk about Osaka. Although you guys have probably saw stuff coming out of London, out of Osaka, that will probably lead into New York. So I guess we'll talk about that. But Hannah, give me your Pokemon Sleep check-in. Greg is not here to stomp all over our love of Pokemon Sleep.
Yeah, but I do get to be a little negative this week because this week I've had a few things go wrong.
Oh, okay.
So I am starting to learn that one qualm I have with this app is that when it records your sleep, it records it for the night the sleep started and not the night the sleep ended if you're sleeping through midnight. So Steve, you probably haven't even noticed this most of the time. But,
yes, I think I know what you're saying, and I think that doesn't apply to me.
Yeah, it records it for a different day than any other sleep app records it. Like if I wake up on a Thursday, other sleep apps will say that was Thursday's sleep.
Really?
But this sleep app will say it's Wednesday's sleep.
Because you started on Wednesday.
Yeah.
But if you start after midnight, it becomes Thursday's sleep?
Yes.
Only after like 3 a.m., which I experienced this week because I stayed up too late working.
Huh.
And then because I stayed up too late and didn't get very much sleep, that sleep was logged for the latter day. And then I took a nap because I didn't get enough sleep. And then because that was 2 sleep sessions in that day,
Yep.
I didn't get to catch any Pokemon the next day. It had already been filled up with those 2 sleep sessions, the late sleep and the nap.
So when you went to sleep on the next night, it didn't record, like it was like, nope, sorry, you don't get the...
Because I went to sleep before like 3 a.m. Yeah.
It seems terrible.
It was not great. It made me really sad. And my Pokemon are all weak and exhausted because of it.
You know, I thought you would be the best at Pokemon Sleep, Hannah, but
Why?
you get very terrible sleep. I could see every day that you are not sleeping very well.
This is what I said. I value sleep very highly. I am really bad at it right now. The situation I'm in, I'm really bad at it right now. I think it's super important, but I'm not good.
So I tried Pokemon Sleep on a plane.
Oh, gosh.
And so I did the Pokeball plus the Pikachu sung its lullaby. The plane was so loud, no one heard it except me. And I paid for internet, which was like $10 for an hour. And I was like, okay, well, I can't fall back to sleep, so let me see what happened in the last 8 hours. And then I tried to sync after I woke up, and the app was just struggling to load. And it was trying to load the data, and then it just got stuck. And because the internet was so bad, like I bought the premium internet, and it was not premium at all. So I couldn't. It was just processing forever. I force quit the app, and at that point, I lost the data because it was trying to pull it, but it got stuck. So I think it would have worked if the internet could have pulled properly. So I don't think that was like, I think it's possible to sleep on the plane and have it to work. So I did the thing where I'm a premium member, so I get to like go back and insert that.
Oh, right.
So I
right.
did that. That was the first time I did that. And you get your points, but you don't get any Pokemon encounters. But the second when you actually go to sleep, they will give you 2 premium biscuits. They'll say like we saw that you slept, that you recorded, but you didn't get any encounters because you manually entered it, but we're giving you an extra biscuit to make up for that, which is good, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's good.
That balances out all right.
Yeah, it balances. So it was the first time I used it, and I was like, okay, how's this gonna go? I will say though, I still love sleep. I still super look forward to checking Pokemon, and I understand the ingredient stuff more and like the biscuits more. And the thing that happened that I thought was going to happen, which is like you're not getting as many points because the 600 bonus point trial is offer. So I've gone from catching 2 Pokemon a day to 1. So it slowed down there, but it didn't ruin my enjoyment, at least.
Yeah,
Do you
I mean,
think-
I'm still really enjoying it. I've started spending some of the sleep points, even, but I'm not spending any of the diamonds yet, because that's a rarer currency, and that's the money-based currency. But I've started spending some of the sleep points on the normal Pokeball biscuits, so I'm catching usually 1 Pokemon a day, sometimes every other day.
Are you both on premium on the trial? On like the
No.
Okay, you're not.
I'm not.
Steve, you are, right?
They charged me $50.
That was going to be my next question. You already answered it. Thank you.
When I paid for my airplane internet, I then got that push notification that my card was charged. So check back in 6 months if that was worth it.
Okay. I mean, that was going to be my next question is like having the premium trial for the last, what is it, 2 weeks? Well, you should know
2 weeks.
exactly how many days it is now that you got charged. I was going to say, did that make you want to actually pay for it? So like, did you accidentally pay for it, or is it where you kind of just like, no, I'm just going to pay for it when it's up anyways?
I was debating of doing the 1 month or the 6 months, but I genuinely like the game more than I thought I would. Like, I look pretty closely at like the Pokemon I catch and their abilities, and because it's week 3, I've only stayed in the grass area. I've unlocked the beach pretty early, but I've never moved to it because I'm still like moving Pokemon around. Because very early I was like, what's the point of changing your team? And then you see how like deep the game goes of like these Pokemon get these berries and Snorlax wants these berries this week, and these 2 Pokemon work together, or this Ekans has like way better abilities than the other Ekans. I think that all is really cool, and it's probably for somebody casual really easy to ignore and they can still enjoy the game. But it has like that depth that I really like, and because it limits me, I'm like, I can't like just burn through it, but I want to. But I guess the $10 like a month makes it feel like it's like a little faster, where it's not slow enough where I completely fall off because I'm just like, everything's taking too long.
So, okay, wait. If it's $10 a month, I forget the pricing scheme here. If it's $10 a month,
A lot.
Yep.
what is the $50? Is the $50 a 6-month situation then? Or
Yeah,
is it
you
a year?
save $10.
Okay, and then a year is what, 100 or something?
You can't do it. Yeah, well, yeah, you can't do a year. Well, you'd have to do
you
2 6
can't.
months.
You can't do a year. They don't put they don't want to potentially. They're not confident enough in their game to last more than 6 months to put that annual plan out.
They may just have not wanted to charge $100 for anything straight up, except for maybe diamonds.
Have they met Niantic? Because Niantic loves to charge $100 if they can.
Hey, Pikmin Bloom has a $220 option for
There is
whatever
that.
reason.
Oh, it's awful.
I will say one thing that a bunch of people in our Slack have been running into, or at least 2, maybe 3 people have been running into, is the game crashing and deleting some or all of your data. So I will say, maybe link your account in settings. There is a place where you can link a Google, Apple, or Facebook account, or you can record a issue ID. Maybe just have that as a backup, just in case. I think that's
should
a
have that
really
for-
good idea, and it's not a default.
You should have that for Go as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go, at
especially
least
if
you
you're-
need an account to sign
Especially
in.
if your Go is tied to a school, and then maybe in like 4 years you don't have access to that school email.
Is that common? Do people
That
I've definitely
happened.
known multiple people.
Yeah.
really? Wow. Yeah. No.
Wait,
that's a good idea for like anything. If you tie
Don't use
to
your school email.
like either don't use a
Right?
school account or like don't use something that's temporary, like especially when it's email. That's kind of like
When you're going
your-
into college, you don't always realize your school account is temporary. I've known multiple people who didn't realize they weren't going to have access to their college account forever. And I think for some schools, it's not the same. I think some schools do let alumni keep their emails, but many of them do not. So school accounts can easily disappear.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend in most things in life, if it's not related to school, just maybe set up a different email address.
Bobby, did you do any sleep at all?
Oh, I don't sleep in general. So this game's not for me. No, I tried once. I will probably try it again, but this game is not for me. It really isn't. Like, I do love it. Like, I do love seeing all the screenshots and hearing people talk about it and stuff. But the way that I sleep, which sounds really weird, like I'm not I'm not a weird sleeper, but I don't like. Okay, so here's a little bit of information about me. And Steve, you know this because you see me. I'm texting you at like 3:00 in the morning my time.
Yeah.
You know, so. But I sleep very little, and I sleep like I go to sleep when I'm falling asleep doing something. Like I don't like. I'm not a big fan of like going and laying in bed and then like, you know, waiting to fall asleep. I'm typically like, I'm falling asleep now, doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna like halfway be awake, roll into my bed, and then just pass out. And that's most evenings for me, or mornings, I guess. And so for one, like I'm not gonna remember to turn the lullaby thing on or whatever and do that whole thing.
I kind of look forward to the lullaby every night. I'm kind of
too.
into it.
Well, but I'm
Did
always,
you know you can change
like,
the lullaby? There are different lullabies.
Oh, that's cool.
What?
I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, in the plus settings.
Wow. You just introduced a
Okay.
whole new concept to Steve.
Yeah, this is.
He's like,
this
let's
goes
end
deeper.
the podcast now. I need to sleep right now. I need to hear this lullaby. Yeah. And also, like, I have 2 kids and my wife who are all asleep by the time that I go to sleep. And that lullaby, when people are asleep, that lullaby feels like it's the loudest thing in the world.
You can mute it. You can turn the sounds off.
Yeah, I should definitely do that. But no, but I did try sleep once, and I actually got 8 hours of sleep. Like, I shocked myself that, like, I was like, okay, I'm kind of tired. I'm gonna go to bed. I'll try this. Got 8 hours of sleep, but at about 6 hours into my sleep, I was slightly awoken by the lullaby, which was like, uh-oh, like something went wrong with the Go Plus Plus, because I clicked it, lullaby went, that was good. And then the next morning I woke up to the lullaby and I was like, something definitely went wrong. And so kind of fell back asleep, woke up at my normal time, and it was like, you slept for 45 minutes. I was like, great.
Yeah.
Like, so who knows? I bumped it or something, bumped the Go Plus Plus at night, or something happened with it. But it still like gave me stuff, like, because I thought you had to sleep for at least 90 minutes for it to record like to work.
You have to record for at least 90 minutes. It doesn't
Yeah.
count all of that as sleep, but because it's a bad sleep tracker, that's not always accurate.
Okay, got it. So that's what happened. Then I must have recorded like 2 hours of sleep or like, you know, over 90 minutes, but it said like 45 minutes of sleep. And so that was the immediate like, okay, like I'm already like not happy with this app, and it's been one time of using it, you know. But I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, like it did the thing it's supposed to do. Like I slept more than I had slept in the last like 5 years that night. So I'll try it again. I will try it again because it is like seeing everybody playing it and like seeing the screenshots on like social media and things like that. It's like, oh, that seems cool. But first I kind of got to fix my sleep schedule before I can really dive into it. So that's where I'm at with it, but it seems fun. I'm happy to hear you guys talk about it.
I think maybe I said this last week, but I think the one thing that I really like for me personally is I like that the app is engaging enough to make me wake up. Like I'm definitely like the set 5 alarms, turn off the first 4, snooze the last one like 5 times. And I try to myself personally, I will try to schedule appointments early in the morning to like get me out of bed and start me for the day. Because otherwise I'll just like work all night and then just sleep until I'm satisfied. So I have definitely woken up, like checked Twitter, checked Instagram, check emails, and then just go back to bed. And now when I check sleep, I feel like I'm doing so much that at the end of that, like, I don't know, like 6-7 minutes with the app, I'm like pretty fully awake for the day. Okay, enough about sleep. We'll shift gears over to let me pull up the press release. It's like 2 sentences. Tune in on August 8th for all new Pokemon Presents. I think this was rumored on some I don't know website for a while.
It's been rumored all over. Don't know where it came from.
Who knows? My uncle's cousin's dog first started this rumor. The Pokemon Company International is inviting fans around the world to tune into a special Pokemon Presents streaming August 8th, 6 a.m. PDT. Fans can look forward to a half an hour of Pokemon news and a spotlight on the latest happenings across the brand. Here's a teaser. That's the whole press release. For those that didn't see the teaser, you're not missing much.
It's a few seconds.
Yeah.
It's a couple seconds, and I guess the most interesting thing, there's 2 things. There's an M that appears, and then the Pokemon Presents is normally like this white, blue, yellow logo that they use with like Pikachu ears. And in this trailer, it's a purple neon version of that, which there's probably one time where they slightly changed it, but I feel like it's always been the white, blue, yellow standard logo.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that definitely stands out.
Does it?
And the M that appears is the M from Pokemon, so it is also neon purple that just appears for just a moment and then disappears, and then the full logo appears.
Yeah, I couldn't get like a. I was trying to like I wasn't like I didn't look up any articles to see about it. I was just looking at the trailer and like trying to get the pause it on the like. Is the M the same exact M, or is there some other is it some other design in some way?
I am pretty certain. I looked specifically for it. I'm pretty certain it's the same exact M in the same place and everything.
Interesting. I feel like the colors kind of remind me of Detective Pikachu, like in the way that they do that. You know, that was kind of what I was first
neon
thinking.
was their whole
the neon,
thing.
Yeah.
Can I complain? It's my show. I can complain. How?
Go ahead.
So this thing came out at like 10 p.m. Japan time, right? Mm-hmm. So I like saw it. I made like a little like Instagram, hey, the news is coming post, and then I went to bed. And I woke up to people being like, I hope they announce Gen 5 remakes. I just...
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't?
Okay, can we dissect this for a second? For years, people have been complaining that Pokemon games are rushed and they need to take more time. And our current game is Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which is not even 10 months old. And they have announced DLC that we speculate that was supposed to be delayed because summer-based DLC coming out in the fall does not line up with anything. And in 10 months, without even new DLC coming out, we're just jumping because of a neon sign flashing to black and white remakes?
Well, when did Black and White come out?
Like a decade ago.
2010, right? 2000, wasn't it 2010?
11 about
That
11
sounds
years
about
ago, I
right.
think.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've had
Yeah.
12 years to work on the remakes for Gen 5. What are they
I will
doing?
say that when you are someone whose home region, like the region you are the most connected to, is up for a remake next, you want that soon. You want that now. So I don't blame those people as much, even if it doesn't quite make sense.
Most remakes need like 3 to 4 years in between.
Yeah, no,
And that's
I
because
want it to take time.
That's because they fill it in with like main series and then like super main series, which DLC has ultimately replaced that. But we got Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, which for the record is a bad game.
Oh, absolutely.
And then literally 3 months later, we got another Pokemon game. And then not even a year later, we got Scarlet and Violet. And we have DLC coming. Now to the people who are like, well, what else would they announce? I don't know. Maybe Detective Pikachu. Which I think the neon sign looks like Detective Pikachu.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yep.
Maybe it's a stretch.
I mean, 30 minutes would be a lot to just focus on the movie. Clearly, there's going to be other small stuff. Maybe we're going to learn more about the DLC, but I don't think we should expect anything huge in regards to the main series games.
Yeah, I think DLC was what we would learn more about. I mean, sure, the neon doesn't really line up with like what the first DLC or the second DLC or the second part looks like, but I mean, it makes sense, right? Like we know it's coming in fall and it's now summer and they haven't given us a whole lot
slow
more
down.
details. So, so that just makes sense. I feel like that's going to be a majority of what we're going to learn during this presents is about the DLC.
I mean, 30 minutes is a long time, and I don't think they want to show off that much more of the DLC. I'm not getting that feeling. But they
there's
might
a
show off some.
Oh, well, they do love showing off the same trailer we've seen a million times, but they'll like add an extra
Slightly
like 5
different.
seconds.
Yeah.
Like we snuck in a Venonat. Are you excited? We also know that this company is very good at like hyping themselves up of like, do you remember Charizard? He's cool. Here's 5 minutes on him. Here's what I think, and I thought this was going to happen regardless of this Pokemon Presents. Sometimes they line a lot of stuff up. So a really good example that I don't think a lot of Pokemon fans like noticed is the first time they did a Riolu hatch day in Pokemon Go, which people complained about that like Riolu was still impossible to get, was the same weekend that Ash got a Riolu in Pokemon Journeys. So there are things that line up, right? Like whether or not, like if you never watched Journeys, you wouldn't have known that. Also, it was based on the Japanese debut of Journeys, so
right.
American fans would miss that too. we're in like this situation where we know that Mewtwo is coming to Scarlet and Violet. Mm-hmm. We know another Mewtwo is coming to Unite. We know that Mewtwo is in Detective Pikachu. Now that Mega Rayquaza is in Pokemon Go, they showed Mega Mewtwo in the promotional materials for Pokemon Go. Mm-hmm. We like, and out of all the letters, the M pops up.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, they would have chosen. I don't know. The purple neon is pretty on theme for Detective Pikachu. I think it feels like the movie, but also that's Mewtwo's psychic color.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And the M. This, I would not be surprised if that is correct. If this is just a Mewtwo presence.
You don't think they're showing the M off for Meowstic? No?
Psychic Terra Meowth for everyone this week.
Got me.
Yeah, I think it's very possible that this is like, here's the same DLC trailer you've seen. We've added 10 extra seconds, and now here's the date. And that's what, like 2 minutes, but we've seen a minute 50 of what has already existed. Here's us bragging about how Pokemon Unite has been downloaded 4 billion times, and Mewtwo, like we have one Mewtwo and here's another Mewtwo. Here's a recap of Pokemon GO Fest, but also like the worldwide one is coming. Here is Pokemon Cafe Mix. We're adding Mewtwo. Hey, there's a... I actually think Mewtwo's already in Cafe Mix.
Maybe.
Like, it's so
memory.
easy for them to waste time and not spend even if you were like, okay, they're actually remaking Johto, but instead of going back to Kanto, you're going back to Unova. Even if they were doing that, which ain't happening, that's not 30 minutes. Like, when they showed Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl for the first time, that was like 14 seconds. And everyone was like, why are they Duplo blocks? Like, why are they Duplo people? Why is the ground so shiny?
If they manage to line this all up with all of the Mewtwo things, I will be extremely impressed.
So I think that they're gonna what they do I feel like what they've done in the past, right, is with the main series games, they'll do a trailer and then they'll like say, hey, now we have a little bit more to talk about, like, with that. And I sort of feel like with the DLC, there's a chance that they do the trailer and then they talk for a few minutes about like potential new things, new features within the DLC. And it may combine both parts. I mean, they may talk about both parts of the DLC, but I really do think that there's going to be a little bit more time given to the DLC than just a trailer. I think there might be a few minutes of like, here's what you can expect here, because like you said, it's a summer themed DLC. It's coming out in the fall, but I think they really want to hype people up for it during summer, since it's clearly when it was supposed to come out, like initially. I don't think they want this like, hey, trainers, do you remember summer and it's fall now? Don't you wish it was summer again? Like, play this game, you know? Like, I really think they're going to hype it up a little bit more. And so I'm not saying the whole Presents is going to be the DLC, but I really do think they're going to do a trailer and then they're going to say like, and here's some additional features about what is going to be in the DLC. Not story related, but just like kind of things you're going to come across potentially, or features you may come across. And then everything else I think they can tie together, but I do think that will be kind of a main focus of the Presents still.
And it doesn't even have to be like game related. They can also talk about the TCG. They can also talk about
TCG.
True.
They could talk about 151 actually, about Scarlet Violet 151 if they go TCG route, just because people love Gen 1, and this is like the first special set, and it comes out in September. So
yeah, I was going to say it comes out pretty soon.
They could talk about that, I guess.
Well, they canceled opening ceremonies for Worlds. And so normally, for those that don't follow, like when you go to Worlds, there's usually like this huge video package that happens, and then they'll announce something Like one Worlds, I think they announced like a mega form. Another Worlds, they announced Crabrawler for the first time. They're like, we got a new Pokemon to show you. It's Crabrawler. And then leading to Sword and Shield, they announced, they gave like early preview of who was Sword and Shield, like Zashi and Zamazenta. They like showed off those cards, but we didn't know what types they were. And then they did the same thing for the Worlds right before Scarlet and Violet. They showed off Miraidon and Koraidon, but we were like, what types are they? They showed off Room Service. They showed off, like, for Sword and Shield, they showed off Dynamax and how you couldn't flinch them. So, like, opening ceremonies have given, like, some game stuff. So the fact that this is coming out August 8th and there's no opening ceremony makes me think that it's because they wanted like a bigger package that wasn't like, I don't know, openings. I don't think the opening ceremony was bad, but it could be just like, what if we separate this out and it will get more press in a Presents format versus like, this is just some tournament happening. There's no news coming, but there is news coming from it. But like, outlets might not see that.
Yeah.
Fair point. It's a very exciting thing to be there for the opening ceremonies when that kind of thing happens. But if they release it at a time that is better for press, that makes sense.
As somebody who's gone to Worlds, I've almost missed every opening ceremony because there's always some huge line. Like when I went to Worlds with Hannah, when we met for the first time, and she traded me a Tropius, we almost didn't get into the convention center because they were like, we gotta go through security.
True.
So it's like the opening ceremony's happening and there's still 2,000 people outside, like getting their bag checked.
We were definitely in there for it. I think that this Worlds is going to be a little bit different and a little more crowded. But the one we were at wasn't that bad.
That was DC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that 2019?
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, time is up.
It was the one pre-pandemic. That's how I remember.
Yes, that time.
Well, if you're watching the video version of this podcast, this is hotel room number 1. Find out next week what hotel room number 2 will look like. And I will be talking about if the World Championship was a disaster or not. Last thing I want to say before we take a break is going back to Bobby with the summer DLC. At the 70s, I think it's Expo 70s Park or 70s Expo Park. Anyways, the park where the Osaka Go Fest was, they had a roped off part. I don't want to say in the middle of the park because the park is huge. But they had a park that was designated for a festival. And there was a bunch of tables, there was a bunch of chairs and everything. It was like a really, really big space. And then in that space was these huge, I don't know, they held the masks.
Yeah.
So if you remember the masks in the DLC trailer, they were just all lined with masks. They had Pikachu, they had Power Rangers, they had a Mickey Mouse mask. And it was like, this is a summer festival IRL with the masks in the park where Go Fest is happening. Like, you cannot convince me that this DLC wasn't coming out in the summer and they delayed it because Scarlet and Violet is such a mess.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there was a video that I saw, was it last night maybe, of one of the 3, I don't remember the name of the names of the 3 Pokemon that are part of the summer DLC, that are the ones with one's a monkey, one's a
Okie dokie, Monkey Dory, and Serendipity.
Pheasantipity.
Something like that. Pheasantipity. There we go.
Wasn't there one that's a dog though? Isn't there like Okie
Doji.
Oh, Okie
I
Doji,
think,
that's what it's called?
something like that.
Okay. Well, there was something happening where someone was carrying that mask around, or like they were carrying some kind of, they were holding something, and it was that Pokemon, and they were walking around, and it was like, it looked like it was part of some kind of festival or some kind of parade or something. And I saw this clip like last night. I think it was like for the night before last.
I feel like I know what you're talking about. but I don't remember it that well. I'm also very tired, but I think I know what you're
Okay,
talking
I don't know
about.
if it was at the park or something, or if it was related in any way to that. But I just remember like there was someone. I don't know how to explain what it was like. It's almost like if you took like you know those people. This is weird. You know those people who like I don't know what the thing is called, where you would put people or you put something in the back of it, and it's got two wheels on it, and then you hold
Yes.
the front,
A
and you would
wheelbarrow.
like walk. What's it called?
A wheelbarrow.
Well, not. Yes, I know what a wheelbarrow is, but I'm talking about like reverse that. So like you're walking in front of whatever you're carrying, and then you have you're
carriage.
holding. Sure, like a carriage. Anyways, someone had something, and it was made up of one of those Pokemon, and they were noting. They were like, "Oh, they're like, there's like a festival, there's like a parade happening with those Pokemon from the summer DLC." So I wasn't sure if that was a part of what you're taught, like of the park, or a part of something, but it definitely seemed like
think
they
it
were
was
hyping up.
A Worlds promotion.
Was it a world? Yeah, I mean, again, it just seemed like they were
Yeah.
hyping up the summer DLC, or the fall DLC, whatever the DLC is supposed to be, but the summer party.
It's a summer DLC at heart.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking of summer, I spent 3 days in the 70s Expo Park, and it was mostly miserable. And I will tell you about that after the break. We will be right back. And we are back. Okay. Full disclosure, Niantic did pay for my 3-day ticket that pass. They gave me the add-on bonuses, the egg lover, it should be called the egg scammer, the raid lover, which I actually think is 100% worth it. I think that one's actually really good. They did not give me the shirt, and shirts sold out. That was my bad.
Are the shirts the same color in person?
Yes.
Cool.
I thought they were supposed to be different.
I thought so too.
They were last year, weren't they?
They
Yeah.
were.
Yeah.
They were
It's a
definitely
good
red.
color, though.
When-
The shirt's a good color. So,
It is.
It's
the
like-
design
yeah.
is too low though.
yeah, right. But good color for sure. So, yeah.
I've been to like every Go Fest. I've been to all the US ones. I will be missing New York. I've been to the Berlin one last year. I've been to many Safari Zones, so I feel like I have a good gauge of what a Niantic event is at this point. Again, they did not pay for my hotel. Well, they maybe will pay for my hotel. I will legally disclose to the FTC if they do pay for my hotel. As of right now, I paid for my hotel. They did not pay for my flight. They did give me the 3-day pass. My pass was unique. It worked in the park the entire time, but the concept is you either pick Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then you either pick morning or afternoon. And then the reverse is you play in the city, and you can add on the extra days to play in the city. So the 70s Expo Park was 40 minutes from my hotel through train. It's only one transfer, so 30 minutes north on the red line, and then there's a monorail that runs that way, and then 10 minutes on the monorail to get to the park. Fun fact about this park, it only had one entrance. And
Wow.
if you were going by public transportation, it was only that monorail.
So
If
it was a
this was
Pokemon
any other
train.
country,
Seriously.
if there was any other country, I would be concerned, but Japan is very efficient. They were prepared for it. They had way more trains running. Both Apple and Google Maps were like, we're running way more trains when you check it. So that wasn't bad at all. The park itself was fenced, which we know that Niantic is not good at building fences, but this park was already like the one in Berlin. It already had a fence up. They do tons of events there. So you did have to wait in a line. The first day, the line was maybe only 15 minutes. The second day, I didn't wait in line at all. And then the third day, I think I've only waited in line for like 2 minutes. Like it was going by really quickly.
This This started off like you were going to be like, I was in line forever. It's
No, they again
complete
very
opposite.
efficient. You had to show that you had the medal on your phone to get in, and that I think that was why the first day it took a little long, because like that wasn't communicated super well to staff, and then all like people would be prepping you way ahead of time to like have the medal open, show that on your phone, we'll let you in.
Can't you just have a screenshot of the medal?
You could just say yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
But
got it.
But once you go into the park, there's no spawns if you
Right.
don't have it.
Right,
So the other cool thing, at least compared to, I don't know, maybe other Go Fest, is they were letting people in way early. So like the event started at 9, but they started letting people in at 8. And you could just walk around the park and enjoy it before it kicked in, which is like nice. You don't want to like, oh, 9 o'clock started and I'm in line. That's sucks.
Yeah.
So the other thing they did is, because the things rotate, so I think it was around like 1:30, I think the cutoff was, and then 2 o'clock or 2:30 is when the
Afternoon.
like, afternoon people shifted over. So there was like a hour break, which I still think is like a really good thing that Niantic should continue doing, is that hour break, especially just to like flip everything. They would let those people in early, but they had a different route to exit people.
Oh, that's
So
Okay.
spawns would die at 1:30, and spawns wouldn't exist for people before 2:30. But it never felt like there was this like way too many people. It was just like this flow of people entering and people exiting, and it was super efficient.
That's way better than I expected.
That sounds
Yeah.
like Japan.
the bad thing, the first day it got up to 105 degrees. On Saturday it got up to 115 degrees, and we had a very cool 103 degrees for Sunday.
Thanks a lot,
And-
Niantic.
Yeah, Niantic really dropped the ball on weather here.
How did they respond to it though? I heard that there were hydration tents or something like that, and that they had things for people who weren't feeling great.
Yeah, so the Team Mystic, Valor, Instinct all had the sprinklers in the tents. And they were
Ooh,
the
that's nice.
biggest tents I've seen at a Go Fest. They were all right next to each other. They were like not exciting. It was just tables, benches, and then those like mist sprinkler. Like you weren't soaked when you went in. It was like the mist. So that was running. Plenty of shade in the park. Obviously, there was stretches of the park where, there's not trees or buildings. So there were... Niantic did pay for, I did confirm this, they did pay for unlimited water bottles the entire 3 days. They did not run out. So at Safari Zone Vegas, they had 2 water stations where you could refill your own water bottle, and one of them broke like the first day. So it went from 2 to 1. The Chicago ones I went to, they had water refill stations. They would be, out of water like halfway through the day. They were giving out, they weren't like the huge size water bottles. They were like like 8 ounces or 10 ounces or something. You could take as many as you want. You could go back, get another one. All weekend, unlimited water from water bottles. I was like, if this was corporate America, we would be charging $8 an ounce. But Niantic did have they said they paid for water. They also had tea. That was a sponsor, I guess, for specifically that event. And when we were leaving, they were like, here are 8 more bottles of tea. Please take our green tea. You get 5 when you come in. You get another 8 when you leave. Please drink our tea. It was fine. It was very bitter, but...
Do you like tea generally?
It's fine.
Okay,
Like,
do you generally think tea is bitter? That's where I was going with that.
From other people I was with, they said it was more bitter than they're used to.
Okay.
Gosh, I wish I had it.
I was like, you're not drinking it now? You just like right in the middle of the
They gave
camera?
me like 8 bottles when I was like... They also had, there's like a museum in the park.
Cool.
And they had no problem with people going in and sitting in the air conditioning. There was, I wish we had like Al or somebody else on the show to talk about the London experience. I've
heard it's been rainy the whole time.
Yeah, it was rainy, and I saw they had like a line of porta potties, you know, the blue standard porta potties. We got the good bathrooms, no porta potties. Holy cow, the bathrooms at this park.
Yeah.
I felt like I could eat in the bathroom. They were so
Okay.
clean.
Yeah, bathrooms in Japanese public spaces.
We got good bathrooms. There was there were restaurants, and they were all air conditioning as well. They had no problem with you like just popping in for 10 minutes, not buying anything, just cooling off. The medical tent had this like salt candy, which is supposed to like add electrolytes back into you, and they were giving that out for free. They did have a couple vendors, like one was like selling battery packs in the Pokemon Go Plus Plus. I think it was like SoftBank, one of the cell phone providers. They had plenty of vending machines. This is like a thing that like all parks, all countries should have. They should just have 1 million vending machines where you can get like a Coke for 150 yen and not wait. Like when we're talking about like events of like, okay, like even when I went to Safari Zone Berlin, or sorry, Go Fest in Berlin, they had like a food truck aisle, and your option was water or beer because you're in Germany. And like people are like slamming Heineken at like 8 a.m. Like it didn't, like they didn't have food trucks, but they had the restaurants. They had plenty of drinks. Niantic was providing water the entire time. For like being dehydrated, you would have had to like tunnel vision into forgetting that you should be drinking. Now, obviously, I'm sure there were people that were severely dehydrated, but like you can only do
Niantic was doing as much as they could to not have
like,
that happen.
Yeah.
It sounds like this was pretty well run in that aspect.
Yeah, no, like it was hot. I was also told by Niantic, take this with a grain of salt, that a lot of the people that ended up in the emergency / medical area were not Japanese people. They were foreigners.
Niantic told you that?
Yeah, they were like, because the people that were complaining were, well, I don't know, maybe the Japanese people were complaining. I just can't understand Japanese. But the people that were complaining were English. They spoke English. And look, Americans are pretty loud, myself included. Just the nature. But it was like weird that at first it was weird because you were like, wow, all these Japanese people are in like pants and they all have like long sleeves on.
Sun protection.
And they have towels and they have hats and they have umbrellas and they have fans, and they were killing it.
Yep.
They had no problem in the heat. And there's always Pokemon events in August. Like the Pikachu outbreak thing is always like the first week of August and stuff. But they also had like these cool like ice packs you can buy that were like hot hands, but they were ice, and you like crack them and they were instant ice. But anyways, like super, super hot. But like it didn't seem to phase. Like I would say like tourists, or like I would say it was like 10-1 for like every 10 Japanese people there was probably like one foreigner, whether that was like Singapore or Taiwan or America or Mexico. Like it was very Japan dominated, no surprise. But the amount of umbrellas, the amount of like fans around your neck, the amount of like long sleeves, they had umbrella, or they had vests with fans built in. They were
Nice.
just they know how to handle the heat. It was
Can we
insane.
just blanket statement like Japan does everything better like when it comes to this type of like you're like talking about like heat technology of sorts, whether it's like high tech or low tech, but like it's just it is typically done better like.
Better than
I'll say
America.
better than America.
Yeah.
At least I'm not going to call up like the whole world, but I will say like this. Everything you're saying just speaks to if you're in Japan, right? Like I've never been to an event in Japan, but I've been to Tokyo twice, and like the things you're saying are things that exist in just the cities in Japan as well, right? Vending machines everywhere, all these things like that is. I have never drank more Coke than when in Tokyo because there's a vending machine every 10 steps with Coke available.
If you're ever in Japan during the cold season, the corn soup is amazing from the vending machines. That's my favorite.
See, it's just like this is a thing about Japan that's just that is just very good. So the things you're saying about the park are just like, yes, this just sounds like it would be done better in certain ways than events that maybe are happening in Chicago or other places, just because the way that they do everything in Japan for those things is typically seems better than the way that we do things. Not everything, but the way that we do things in America.
It sounds like there was the structure for them to handle it very well there.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I still really hope it doesn't get up that hot in New York for Go Fest, because I don't have the confidence it would be handled as well there.
It won't have the same experience. No, exactly.
I'm going to prepare for either extreme heat or rain, since that's the experience that this weekend has been for the two Go Fests. And so far, the weather looks moderate and fine, but I want to be prepared either way.
I will say, okay, two things before I forget. Like the fan situation of like Japanese people having fans around their neck or just portable fans they're holding or umbrellas it's very obvious outside of Go Fest. Like that's not a specific Go thing. Like fans were everywhere on subways or just walking down the street. Okay, the second thing is, again, I wasn't in London, but from pictures, their exhibits or their habitats, I think they're called, were way cooler than Japan's. Which is a little shocking. They also had like this huge Terra crystal thing that you could walk in and get pictures. We didn't have that. I don't know how big their park was, but I did really like how the park was laid out. Like the jungle area of the park, I think it was called the Dark Jungle, was near like the most foresty / tree part of it. There was like this little river running through that followed the path. There were like structures and stuff that felt very foresty. The ferry area was just kind of in the middle of a field. Like it didn't feel that cool. The ice area was like near the big body of water. And then the volcano area was kind of near the entrance where all the raids were. So I'd be curious how the structure of London, I think it was London, or the London one felt. But this park was laid out really well. It was not as big as the Berlin Go Fest last year. That park was massive. It had like 17 entrances. It was a gated park. Like when a raid popped in that park, you're like, I'm never going to get to it because it's literally like a 40-minute walk to the other side of the park. But like, if you were far away from the entrance, there was still vending machines, food, nice bathrooms, like some form of shade. Like the park itself was really good.
So if you're going to compare real quick, if you take last year in Germany, giant park, like you said, you want to get to a raid, but you're not going to make it because the park is so big, right, that you got to travel, versus Japan this year, smaller park. It sounds like there was a lot of stuff that was still like there was a lot of stuff everywhere, though. Which would you think is, I guess my question is, what's better, big giant park or smaller park for an event like this?
Oh, you broke up for a second, so I missed your question.
Oh, sorry. what's better, bigger park or smaller park for an event like this? Like from your experience of last year versus this year.
I think this park was the right size. I thought the park for Seattle Go Fest was too small, and they kind of like canceled. That was like the first time they really did the city experience, because obviously Go Fest in Berlin was just like, here's 8 hours in this park, you only get one day, and then Seattle was like 4 hours in the morning here's the break, 4 hours in the city. I thought the Seattle park was like too small, and I think this was the right size. The Safari Zone, which obviously isn't a Go Fest, in Korea in Goyang, was a good size, but like there was this huge pond, lake or whatever, and if you started walking halfway, you were kind of like committed. And you're like, well, if I turn around, it's going to be I have to just finish it. Yeah. And there was like kind of nothing over there, where this park and like other Go Fest, it felt like there was always something. And I don't remember a lot of things going wrong for Seattle. I was actually really impressed with the Seattle Go Fest, and connection wise here, super stable. They had cows. Cows are cellular on wheels. They had way more cows than I've ever seen at a park. And so that was super, super stable. They had like Domoko and AU and SoftBank, whatever 6 cell phone service providers they had. They had plenty of cows. There was only one dead spot the first day, which was the team lounge area. My backpack completely dropped out, and I was talking to Niantic about it, and they were like, yeah, we can't figure it out. And then Saturday and Sunday it worked fine. So it was literally just like the Mystic tent didn't work, but if you were in Valor and you were in Mystic, which was like 2 feet away, those tents worked. There was just this weird dead spot in Mystic, and I avoided it. And then Saturday, Sunday, they fixed it. I don't know why there was a dead spot.
Weird.
Not a cell phone person.
Need Greg.
So, yeah, right.
Yeah. Overall, like I will say, like, going back to Heat stuff, I have never played Pokemon. I've like streamed every Pokemon Go Fest since I got my stream backpack. It's definitely changed over the last couple years, but like I'm used to being super hot. Like I'm used to wearing jeans and still being like I'm fine in the summer. The backpack gets like unbelievably hot because you have 2 big batteries. You have a little computer like pumping out heat because it's trying to cool itself. Like I'm so used to just being really sweaty when I stream Pokemon Go in the summer because it's already hot. Well, if I didn't have the backpack, I'd still be sweating, but the backpack just makes me sweat. I have never streamed in this sort of heat where just I'm watching sweat pour out of my watch band, and like I'm checking my legs because I think there's like a bug on me, or there's like and it's just visible sweat just pouring off of you. It was just that hot and humid.
That sounds miserable.
Were you in a jean and hoodie? Jeans and
No. I
okay. I was like, typical Steve.
I brought moisture wicking. I brought the bird dogs. I don't know if there's a bird dog ad in this episode or not, but we've run ads for them before. They sent me like free stuff. I brought the bird dog moisture wicking sweatpants, and my legs were not the problem. And then the second day I wore the bird dog shorts, which I don't think they made me any. It was just so hot that I think the Japanese people were right. Just wear the long sleeves to prevent the sunburn because you have other ways to cool off. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like on the flip side, the city experience. So right outside of the 70s Expo Park was a pretty big mall, and they had really good spawns, and you could just play there. It was air conditioning, and then some people were just playing downtown Osaka, which is really famous for being a huge place to play Pokemon Go. Plus, they have their mall down there. They have all the shops where they have like they're like outside hallways, but they're covered. And obviously there's 9 million 7-Elevens you can pop into to like grab something and to like cool off, right? So when I was playing with Steven, who in our Slack, he was like, I don't know how you did the park 3 days in a row because it's so hot and you're outside the entire time. Like, yeah, obviously it's cooler in the shade, but like this, he said the city experience was so much better because he could play in a mall or he could like jump back into his hotel room and then jump back outside and like had more control. He was like, the park is like cool to see once, but the city experience was like more flexible. And I can't say I disagree, right?
Did you do both, like all 3 days? Did you start in the park and then do city stuff all 3 days of Go Fest? Or
Yeah, obviously I had like the special ticket.
Yeah.
So if you have a normal ticket, it's park for 4 or 5 hours and then city the rest of the time. But I went to the park every day in the morning, which was the coolest part of the day. And then here's a pro tip. These events are always going to be during summer, right? Like summer is Niantic's Christmas. It's the easiest to, they make the most money during the summer. They have their big event during the summer.
Sure.
A lot of things happen in the summer, right? A lot of people go on vacation. A lot
Summer
of
is
people
when the
travel.
most people can play, at least right now.
Right. There's no school, that kind of stuff. It's always going to be during the summer. Always pick the morning slot in the park because the mornings are always at least like 10 degrees cooler. And then you can get lunch and then find a mall or something. I don't know. Everyone I've talked to was like, I'm so glad I got morning because it just once like 2 o'clock hit, that was like the hottest point of the day.
Did you play any afternoon in the park, or were you always done? Did you always just do the morning? And
I
then
always left.
just popped out.
It was
Yeah.
If there was one point where Niantic was like, hey, we want to do some pictures from a promotional material. And I was like, cool. So I took my backpack off and I just set it up and pointed it. And I was like, man, I could do this all 8 hours if I didn't have my backpack. It's just so heavy and it's so hot. So like today, if you're watching like the video, it looks like I'm exhausted. And it's like, it's just because of the heat. It's also just 3 days. I walked 10 miles every day. So 30 miles in 3 days. My feet feel like mashed potatoes. Like, even if it's just a lot.
Yum.
That's an intense event.
That is an intense event. Did the stream equipment all hold up well the whole time?
Yeah, yeah.
Stuff is not just destroyed after 3 days.
The only technical issue I had was like one of my cables eventually frayed. 90 kids will remember this, where like your headphones aren't working and you like wrap it around like your iPod a certain way to like get the audio to like one of my HDMI cable did that. I'm like wiggling it to get like connection. And I was like, I got a new one at. Yeah. Okay. So it was so hot. That was actually cool for you to bring up. It was so hot that like Pogo was just so slow. It wasn't like the servers were bad or the internet was bad. It was physically so hot that the phones couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
Like imagine like your gaming computer under your desk and just rip your 2 fans out and don't have any cooling. Your computer will dramatically slow down.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, another thing, shout out to the Japanese people. They had the like cooler things like this fan that would attach to the back of the phone and it would like cool the phone in real time. And like one of the old Japanese guys I was like talking to, like he let me touch the like fan. It was like ice cold. And he's like, yeah, this is on the back of my phone the entire time. And
I need one of those things.
Yeah, seriously.
Don't buy the Razer one. There's like a Razer one that like MagSafe for iPhones or Androids. It's like $70. It does not get as cold as the Japanese ones. And like it kind of worked. Like when your iPhone gets really hot, the screen will dim. And then like it'll like disable the flashlight so you can't turn the flashlight on because that obviously makes your phone hot too. It
I've
like
never tried that
prevented the screen from dimming. But
Wow.
yeah, I've talked to multiple people, iPhone, Android, and it was like, it's just so hot. Our phones are like not keeping up.
I got my phone's battery replaced recently, hoping that it would fix some of those issues, because my battery overheats all the time and has those issues. It didn't fix it. I think it might be because I use MagSafe charging all the time.
MagSafe would be hotter.
Yeah, but my phone just overheats all the time. The battery and the phone overall is just cooked.
Yeah, I feel like doing the AR stuff, like AR pictures and things like that, come across a lot of times when my phone like starts just getting quite hot and the screen dims and then you can't see anything or whatever. You can just, that's just like in normal weather, right?
Yeah, I can't imagine playing in 115 degrees.
Yes, exactly.
I'm telling my kids in the future. Back in my day, we played in 115-degree weather. Listen to the cicadas.
Yeah.
Here's another thing that I didn't realize. I turned off native refresh, which is supposed to like smooth out your phone, but because native refresh uses more processing, turning it off actually made my phone run faster.
That makes sense.
In the heat.
That was the thing that like brought it down to 30 frames per second. That one,
yeah,
like
it brings it to 30
frames per second instead of 60.
So,
wow.
Shiny rate was good. It was fine. It felt exactly like past GO Fest. I know there's always this controversial thing where people are like, Niantic nerfed it. Like, it felt exactly the same.
Here's going to be the test, right? It's because we were talking about this at the Go tour, right? The Hoenn tour. Now that there are the in-person GO Fests, I guess there was last year too. But now that that's happening, will the shiny rate be good on the global one, right? Because that was the thing we were talking about back in February, March, where we were like, the Go tour, the Hoenn tour, the shiny rate was not boosted for the global one.
I think they already officially announced that it's going to be different. I don't remember the exact difference.
I would imagine with a $15 ticket versus the Hoenn tour was free, I think, for the global one.
Yeah, it was free.
With a $15 ticket, I assume the shiny rates are going to be boosted. But I remember having this conversation in February being like, okay, when GO Fest comes around, are they going to nerf the shiny rates for global because they want more people going to those in-person events now? Or are they going to keep them boosted? And I assume with a $15 ticket they will, because if they don't, it's going to be a whole new Here as Niantic at the end of August. So,
yeah. I mean, like, it's funny because I've been talking about GO Fest for 30 minutes and we just brought up the shiny stuff, which is, I think, why a lot of people go to GO Fest. Like, I ended up getting like 42 shinies, and 15 of those shinies were in an hour. And that was just when I took my backpack off, I showered, I went downtown, and I was like, I'm not talking to chat. I don't have my backpack on. I'm just doing this last hour by myself. I put my Crocs on, put them in sport mode, and like I grinded it out. Like, it's very easy to go to one of these events and like tunnel vision and just grind out shinies if that's what you want to do. I try to slow down, especially because I'm like traveling, and obviously I'm streaming it, so I like to show people the park. I like to show people what they're getting. I like to talk to people. I've tried to take pictures, because I've definitely gone to a GO Fest. I think it was Germany, where I was like, oh, I didn't take a single picture of this park. Like, that sucks. I should have done that. I'm talking with people. I'm jumping into raids, which raids are still time consuming, but you get the cool background. Like, it was cool to get like Osaka Castle behind like Rayquaza. That just, to me, that's really cool. Some people don't care about that. And like trades take a while. I know there's like a joke in the Pokemon community where like the Singaporean grandma joke, like Niantic at one point in an interview said like our average player base is a 70-year-old Singaporean grandma or whatever. Here's the thing. Here's a pro tip. The old grandmas, the old ladies, whatever you want to say, they are the 100% best people to ever trade with. They're so awesome. Let me tell you, every single grandma I traded with, they were level 50. They had a laminate poster of what Pokemon they wanted, what Pokemon they had to trade. They all, I'm not exaggerating, I did 14 trades with old ladies or old men. They were all the same. They had postcards from very specific stuff. One lady had 20 Pokemon Center postcards. She was like different ones. She was like, which one do you want? I was like, I just want the Pikachu, but you're offering me like a cool Raikou postcard that I don't know where it came from. I guess I'm taking that. She's like, let me put one of my best stickers on it because we're about to trade. They're all level 50. They have like 8 million Stardust. They were Pom-Pom Oricorios going crazy. Bouffalante's going crazy. I traded an old man a Bouffalant, and he was so excited he gave me a hug. Japanese people do not touch other people. He just bursted out in a hug. So I know the like Singaporean grandma thing is like a joke, but I think there was some truth to it to Niantic. Like never trade with a child. Never like children, they have nothing. They have like 4 shinies and they want like a shiny Rayquaza.
But you can give them such a good memory.
Right. No, I think honestly, it's the older people or the very young people who will be excited. They don't need it to be like the 100 IV shiny Pikachu that you only get at this event that they're never going to do anything with, but now they have it. Like it's like little kids, you can give them something and they'll be like super excited about that Lugia or Ho-Oh or something, even though it's been back 400 times, right? Or like older people, same thing, right? You give them that Bouffalant or that Pom-Pom Oricorio, and it's that us people who it's like, oh, this isn't the shiny Bouffalant. It's like, that's not even in the game, right? So, but like, so I think younger generation, older generation, we're good.
For me, like, the trading is one of the coolest parts of Go Fest. And there were some trades I didn't need. Like somebody was like, I really want a Bouffalant, and they had like a shiny Uxie, and I was like, they were like, you want shiny Uxie? You want shiny? I was like, I don't like, I need it, but also like, I don't care that much about shiny Uxie. Like, whatever. It's like it's in like a million games, right? Like I can shiny hunt it in Sword and Shield. But like they wanted the Bouffalant so bad. And I was like, and I traded to them and they were so happy. And, I got a lot of things I was missing. Like I got a lot of shiny Pikachus with balloons I was missing. I got like the Okinawa Pikachu. I got the Singapore Pikachu. Like I got a lot of stuff I was missing for Oricorios and for Bouffalants. And I think like what Bobby was saying, like maybe the 26-year-old hardcore, I want 100 IV Rayquaza, they're probably thinking like Bouffalant will eventually be at a future event, which is true. But like, I don't know, like all the old ladies I traded with, they had like 40 shiny Heracross and they just want Bouffalant. Like, I'm not going to like be like, hey, listen, wait another, like they want the Bouffalant, like just, and they were all super happy about it.
Yeah, it's all about giving and not receiving, right?
That's why I have 500 Pokemon in my trade folder. I love making people happy with trades. There aren't going to be enough special trades available for me to trade in New York.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know what would... I will say, like, the ones that people were asking for a lot in Japan were Oricorio, Bouffalant, Maractus, and Hawlucha. It didn't seem like people cared about Comfey or Klefki, probably because, like, they're just harder. Like, Klefki should be as easy as Bouffalant, but I don't know, maybe Japanese people expected more Americans than people from Paris.
I have heard with routes, and I think, Bobby, you're one of the people who's been pointing this out, routes are great for finding regionals.
Yes. I went on a couple routes, and well, I only got one regional in that,
Okay.
but it was just they were really short routes. I just did one and reversed it, but I got like a throw, right? Like there was a throw on the route. But other people have been saying, there have been some local regionals on those routes. And then
so if you travel to a place and are looking for a regional but are having a hard time finding it, it might be a little bit easier to get them once routes start consistently working.
Yeah.
It seemed like with the people I traded with, like Flabebe was like not that popular. I think people forget that there's like 5
Different
Flabebe.
colors. Yeah.
Furfru was like 50-50. Obviously the Kabuki Furfru is like impossible for most people. But it was like people were super into Oricorio and super into Bouffalant, and then the last one was probably like top 3 was like Oricorio, Bouffalant, Hawlucha. So I would assume that Hawlucha would probably be the most popular one in Mexico, in New York.
Yeah, I have, so Hawlucha, because of the way that it spawns in San Diego as well. So like if I drive, like I have a few Hawlucha in my storage, because if I just drive about 15 minutes south, there are Hawlucha popping up around San Diego. Just because it's like I think it's because the most northern part of Mexico, if you go just across, is at the same as where San Diego is to some extent. And so I went and caught some Hawlucha because I went to like a trading card event thing up in a few hours north from here, and it was surprising. I was like, hey, I have Hawlucha if any, but like I wasn't trying to trade, like it wasn't a Go specific thing, but it was a Pokemon thing, so there's people playing Go. And I was just telling people like, oh, if you want, like I have Hawlucha, and it was surprising for the people that were like no, I'm good. And I was just like, I'm at the wrong event. Like if I was at like any Go event right now, I feel like people would just be like, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then people here were just like, they were playing Go, but they were like, no, I'm good. And they were coming from other parts of the country too. So it wasn't like people that were just like, oh, I'll just go get one. I was like, all right, clearly I need to go to more Go events.
Players.
Yeah. Not the Singaporean grandmas. Get out there,
right?
at level 50.
Exactly.
They didn't have 14 shiny Heracross. No, like Niantic can't control the weather. Obviously, August is always going to be hot. It would it would have been nice if it was like July, or earlier. But these events are booked 6, 8, 10 months in advance, right? Like if you want a venue,
at least
like 70s Expo Park, like they had another event inside Pokemon GO Fest that was getting set up. Like they're running events nonstop. So it's, when I asked Niantic, like, why is London and Osaka the same weekend? And they were like, those were the only dates. Like,
right.
Like we can't.
It's probably more like
they're busy next week.
It's probably a year out that they had to plan these things, like especially
so
for
it's like
these giant parks and things like that in these
like somebody
in these cities.
Somebody in my Twitch chat was like, "It's too hot. They should reschedule it." When?
Next year.
Like
just next weekend. It's good. Like I'm sure it'll be open. No problem.
Yeah, I'm sure this giant convention center doesn't have anything happening next weekend. Then we'll all get back on a flight from Australia and United States and Germany, and we'll come back next weekend to play. Like
easy. Yeah, I don't see a problem there.
Yeah, just reschedule it. No big deal. Just very easy to do. Yeah, I mean, like again, Niantic paid for my ticket. I said this when they weren't paying for my ticket. I think they do live events pretty well. It's complicated. I mean, like the Vegas thing was unfortunate because they had internet for X amount of people and double the amount of people showed up because they were just like, I'm going to show up without a ticket.
Was that the one where
whatever.
They tweeted to people like, don't show up if you don't have a ticket. Go away.
Yeah.
They had the very passive aggressive, please don't come to us. I don't know. I like that tweet. I like passive aggressive Niantic, honestly. I thought it was pretty good. Like, look, there's no spawns. Why are you showing up?
I mean,
later in the tweet thread, they were a little bit more clear and straightforward, and I appreciated that.
Yeah. Other side note, I had dinner with Niantic. The team is much smaller than what it used to be. They had layoffs. So people I'm used to seeing at these Go Fests don't work for the company anymore. The people I did meet, they're still super passionate about the game. They're still super excited. They were still very happy with how the event went. And, you know, heat aside, I think, you know, we talk about the only problem at the event was the heat. It's like refreshing because I can tell those people care about the game. I don't have any inside information, but as somebody who has worked a 9-to-5 job, and probably other people listening to the 9-to-5 job, you know, you might have a really cool boss that's really passionate, and maybe your boss's boss kind of sucks, or your boss's boss kind of also sucks. And it feels, this is just my opinion, it feels like that's Niantic and a lot of companies, honestly, where you have very passionate people. The people above you are maybe less passionate. The people above them are not passionate at all. Well, they're passionate about money, but maybe not anything else.
Here's the thing, right? When you work in a company, a big, small, whatever, if you started the company, you're probably passionate, right? Because you started the company, like about whatever it is. Like you probably have some kind of passion, unless you are like a hedge fund banker who decided to start a different company because you were going to make tons of money. Most people who are the founder of a company have some passion toward the thing that they have founded because it is their life. They have to, like, this funds them and this is what they're doing. They have some kind of passion toward that. We start hiring people who didn't start the company, come in, and they're just, because they're good at what they do, there's going to be, in a lot of cases, less passion there, right? People who are coming in as higher executives are very good at doing a thing for a company, regardless of what that company is. And so there's going to be a lot less passion there. Then you have people who are like more closely dealing with the customers or dealing with the people or dealing with the product or things like that, which I feel like you will find more people who have passion that way. And then that creates this like situation where, yeah, the higher you get in the company, I feel like you're going to have less and less passion about the actual product or what's being put out or the customer experience, unless it's what relates to dollars coming in, right? And so, unsurprising to see that with Niantic, because that's the same structure you have in a lot of places, I feel like, which is unfortunate in a lot of ways. And kind of hard to get around, unfortunately. But yeah, I feel like that's not surprising at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we're running a little long. I know that Pokemon Go related things in Japan are more controlled by the Pokemon Company.
Makes sense.
It did feel like a very Niantic event. Like
you said it worked well.
It didn't. It like if you would have told me like the Pokemon Company is more hands-on for their Japanese events, I would be like, yeah, that makes sense. But now actually going to one, I don't. It felt very. It felt like a Go Fest. Like it didn't feel like extra special. Like it was still fun. Like it was still great. It was still fun. Like the park was gorgeous. But like, I don't know. Like little things, I guess. There was like no merch store. You could pick up your shirt that you ordered. There's no merch store. People are like, they could make a killing with Pokemon merch here. What? Like there's a Pokemon center like down the street. Like they're already making a killing.
There's so many Pokemon centers in Japan.
Right.
They don't need to sell plushes here. They're sold out. Like they got that covered.
Well, they want people going. They know people. Oh, people are here for Pokemon, and we have stores that are nearby. Like they're gonna go to those stores at some point.
Yeah, I didn't hear any issues with London besides rain. I didn't hear. Doesn't sound like they had connection issues. Doesn't sound like they had line issues. Doesn't sound like they had food issues. Maybe that'll spark up this week where people are like, my son got pushed into a puddle by a Singaporean grandma that flew. Like, I don't know. I didn't hear any issues. I'm very curious how New York will turn out.
Yeah.
After these
We
two
did
events.
get the map. We did get the map for the New York event. It is a smaller amount of the park than we expected. So
Yeah, it's not the whole island.
No, it's not at all. It's just kind of the half of the top half. It's almost like a quarter or a third of the island. It seems like it's still going to be plenty big, I think. There are going to be food trucks. There are, I think, 2 locations for food carts there. But yeah, it's not as big as I thought it was going to be, and it sounds like that might be a good thing. As long as it's big enough.
Can you tell the relation to like what the Japan one is size-wise?
The maps are not the same style between the different Go Fests. I was looking at London's earlier too. They're just completely different map styles.
That's kind of cool in a way.
I would have to look at an actual world map to look at that.
Bust it out. Just put it on the wall behind you.
Niantic fired half their community managers, but kept 3 different map designers. I don't know.
Yeah.
I will say, side note, I think the longest I waited in any line besides getting in was like for a coffee at a coffee shop, and it was like 10 minutes. And when you said food trucks, I just think of Vegas, where the food trucks were an hour plus wait.
Yeah.
And the subway across the street was not expecting a event, and they ran out of bread. So if you wanted
New York
Subway,
is on an island, and I don't think that there are other food places there. So we'll see how that goes. I do expect the food trucks to be overrun, so probably they said that you can bring prepackaged food and water.
okay.
So
I was going to say, bring a sandwich, bring water.
Yeah,
I don't think you can bring a sandwich. I think it has to be factory packaged food. I don't think they're going to check bags, but I don't know. I've never been to a Go Fest before.
Bring a Lunchable and bring a water.
I will tell you, for the Japan Go Fest, there was no bag check. It was walk on in. They don't care what you got a window fan? Cool, bring it in on. Like whatever you want.
Well, that's why there was no lines, right? Or that's why the line was so short too, right? If they're not doing a security check like that.
Yeah.
Then, speeds things up. So, yeah.
We'll see how New York goes.
Yeah. Hopefully, if weather's the biggest issue, like that's great for the event. Just to know that, like, I mean, because you can't plan weather. I mean, you can plan weather, but you can't, like, if it's 115 degrees, it's 115 degrees. Like, it's awful, but it's, not Niantic's fault or the Pokemon Company's fault. It just is what it is.
Okay, last thing before we end the show. I thought Niantic was just bad at planning this. I think it's on purpose now. They've continued to put the trading area in direct sunlight in no shade. I thought the first couple events they were like, maybe put this in the shade in the future. They continue to do it. In Seattle Go Fest, they put the trading area in the dead center of the stadium. There wasn't a tree in sight. And before that, also no shade. You'll have to tell me in New York. I'm not sure with London, but again, they put in Osaka trading area behind the volcano. No trees around it. Just there was no one is going to. Also, just find the grandmas. Just find the grandmas. They have the printed out signs. Trade with those people. Don't go to the trading area.
We'll see if anybody in New York even has laminated signs. I'm not sure I expect that.
Do the laminated sign. The laminated sign is 100%. It's worth it. Do the laminated sign. Put what you're offering. Put what you want. That's the power play. Do the laminated sign.
I feel like you have a better chance at getting stuff, especially because I also agree with you. I don't think there will be many people in New York with laminated signs.
Do the laminated sign. If you want stuff, laminate it. What is it, like 20 cents at Kinko's? I don't know how much it costs to laminate.
For life. The quote for life. If you want something, laminate it.
It's late. It's 2 a.m. here. Okay. We'll be back next week. We'll be talking about Worlds. You guys will be watching at home. I'll be here. I have no clue how this event's going to be.
Yeah, we'll see how it actually goes after all of the not so great things we've seen leading up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to try to stream the direct that's happening. So if you're made it to the end, you want to watch it with somebody. If I can't stream it for whatever reason, I'll try to record my reaction and throw it up on YouTube. It's supposed to be 30 minutes. I don't know. We'll see.
It's like good time for you, right? It's like 10 p.m. there?
I think it's 10 p.m.
That'd be 10 p.m., yeah. So, I guess it's not as early as I thought, but...
Yeah. But thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Bobby. We'll see you guys next week. I feel like I'm forgetting something. I feel like I'm supposed to end the show a certain way. I don't know. Patreon, review us on Apple Podcast. Greg's at Gen Con. I think he's having fun. Yeah, it's all good. All right. This has been another episode of the Pokemon Podcast, and we are
super effective.
Super Pokemon filled August. Effective.
Yes, it is.
I need to figure out Froakie Community Day. I don't know where to go for that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's next week, isn't it?
Yeah. During Worlds?
During Worlds.
Wow.
Pokemon filled
Let's
August.
Put one of the most popular starting Pokemon in a community day during the Worlds event.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.